There's a strange moment in every trader's life when you look at the charts, the same charts that once confused you, and suddenly they don't feel as loud anymore. The chaos begins to whisper. The noise starts to make sense. You don't know exactly when it happened, but something inside you changed. That's the moment most traders never reach. It's not marked by a huge profit or a perfect setup. It's marked by silence. The silence. The silence that tells you you're no longer trading like the 93%. You're beginning to think, act, and feel like the 7% who last. I've seen it countless times. Traders who chase, panic, and burn out. And then one day something clicks. Their trading stops being emotional and starts becoming intentional. Their focus shifts from chasing profits to mastering behavior. That's when you know you're finally crossing over. You're becoming a profitable trader. And that's what we're going to uncover here. 5 subtle signs that reveal you're on that path. They won't show up in your bank account first. They'll show up in your mindset, your habits, and the way you respond to the market. The first sign is this: you no longer trade for excitement. You trade for clarity. When I started, I thought trading was about action. I believed the more I did, the faster I'd grow. Every tick felt like a test. Every candle demanded a decision. But I was wrong. The market doesn't reward activity. It rewards discipline. The moment you stop feeling that constant urge to do something, to buy, to sell, to chase, that's when you begin to understand what trading really is. It's not a game of constant motion. It's a game of patience. You start checking charts less. You stop staring at every tick. You feel at peace, not because the market is calm, but because you are. That's the shift. It separates those who chase from those who endure. As I once said, it was never my thinking that made the big money. It was always my sitting, not laziness, but control. Control over impulses, fear and greed. You stop trying to outsmart the market. You learn to wait for it. The second sign: you begin to view losses differently. Losses no longer sting the same way. They don't define you anymore. You stop taking them personally because you finally understand a loss isn't failure. It's feedback. Every loss teaches you something about your system, your discipline, or yourself. And that lesson is more valuable than any short-term win. In the beginning, one red trade could ruin my entire day. I'd chase the next one, desperate to recover. But the market doesn't care about emotions. It only respects behavior. So I stopped asking, why did I lose? And started asking, did I follow my plan? That's the shift that builds consistency. When your success is measured by execution, not outcome, you become untouchable. No single trade can break you because your identity isn't tied to results. Every profitable trader reaches this stage. They stop trying to be perfect and start trying to be present. If you notice your reactions, becoming calmer, your patience longer, your focus sharper. That's not coincidence. That's evolution. The third sign: you begin to trust your own judgment. Early on, traders jump from one strategy to another. They doubt everything. They second-guess every setup. But over time, through data, reflection, and pain, you start to hear your own voice again. Not emotional intuition, experienced intuition. You've seen enough to recognize patterns. You stop falling for the same traps. You begin to follow your system, even when it's boring, even when it's slow, because you've learned the truth. Boring trading is profitable trading. That's how you know you're getting close, when clarity replaces excitement, when your best trades feel calm, not chaotic, when peace matters more than quick profits. The market tests everyone: your ego, patience, identity. Most fail not because they lack skill, but because they lack control. So when you find yourself becoming quieter, more disciplined, less reactive, recognize it. That's progress. The fourth sign: you stop chasing opportunity and start protecting discipline. This isn't flashy, it's not exciting, but it's everything. You realize not every day has to be profitable, but every day must be productive. Some days you win. Some days you wait. Some days you simply observe. And then you understand something powerful. Waiting is a position too. Amateurs hate silence. They believe the market owes them movement. Professionals know silence is where opportunity builds. They don't force trades. They prepare for them. That's what mature discipline looks like. It becomes calm. You stop arguing with the market. You stop trying to control what you can't. You respond when it's time, and stay still when it's not. At first, discipline feels like restriction, like holding yourself back. But real discipline is alignment. When your mind, system, and patience move together, you're no longer exhausted. You're not emotionally drained. You don't obsess over every trade. Your self-worth no longer swings with your P&L. You begin trading from peace, not pressure. And from that peace comes clarity. The fifth sign, you begin to think in probabilities, not outcomes. This is where the real shift happens. The gambler sees every trade as win or lose. The professional sees every trade as one of many, part of a larger edge. Early on, I wanted to be right every time. I wanted to call tops and bottoms. But the goal isn't to be right. The goal is to make good decisions, consistently. The market doesn't reward ego. It rewards discipline. When you think in probabilities, you stop caring about being right and focus on playing right. You follow your plan. You manage risk. You trust the process. You start saying things like, "This trade didn't work, but it was a good trade." That sentence alone defines maturity, because it means your process matters more than your pride. People often search for secret strategies, hidden indicators, insider knowledge. But the real difference isn't external. It's internal. It's the ability to detach from outcomes, focus on execution, and stay consistent, even when results fluctuate. You stop overreacting. You stop cutting winners short. You stop adding to losers. You become logical, measured, intentional. Trading becomes quiet. Consistency is no longer about intensity. It's about repetition. Doing the right thing, again and again, without needing instant validation. Most traders fail here. They can't hand the delay between discipline and reward. But professionals accept it. That's where real profitability grows. If you've reached a point where you can take a loss calmly, let trades go without frustration, and follow your plan even when it's uncomfortable, understand this. You're already operating at a level most never reach. You're no longer chasing profits. You're becoming the kind of person who can earn them. Because the market rewards those who wait, those who endure uncertainty without losing composure, those who stay consistent through boredom, doubt, and fear. That's mastery, and it doesn't announce itself. It shows up in silence, in your patience, your control, your calm confidence. It shows up when your plan feels natural, when your discipline feels effortless. That's when the market stops being your opponent and becomes your mirror. It reflects your discipline, your patience, your growth, and once you see that, everything changes. You stop searching for shortcuts. You refine your path. You stop comparing, you focus on your own rhythm. You stop fearing the market and start respecting it. That's when trading stops being chaos and becomes art. There comes a stage in every trader's journey when you realize something uncomfortable. You are no longer learning the market is learning you. It studies your habits, your reactions, your discipline. It knows when you chase, when you hesitate, when you lose control, and when it recognizes that you've changed, when your emotions no longer control you. That's when it begins to reward you. The market hasn't changed. You have. You've mastered what most never even recognize: yourself. And that is the rarest edge of all. And that is the rarest edge of all. That brings you to one of the most powerful realizations in trading. The moment when you begin to value time more than what trades. In the beginning, time feels like your enemy. Every hour you're not in a position feels wasted. Every moment the market moves without you feels like punishment. But the seasoned trader understands something different. Time is not your enemy. It's your greatest ally. Profitable traders think in seasons, not seconds. They stop trying to make money every day and start focusing on protecting their capital over the long term. They understand that success in trading isn't built on one great move. It's built on surviving 1,000 small mistakes without destruction. You begin to plan your trades like a craftsman plans his work. Slowly, deliberately, with respect for detail. You know exactly what you're looking for, and you're willing to wait as long as it takes. That's not passivity. That's precision. Amateurs may think you're lazy when you sit out, but professionals know that sitting out is part of the trade. It's how you preserve your energy for the moments that truly matter. When I reached that stage, I noticed something remarkable. My life outside trading began to change as well. I stopped rushing. I stopped forcing outcomes. I began trusting patience in everything, not just the markets, because trading at its core is a mirror of character. The discipline you build on the charts reflects in every decision you make off them. Becoming a profitable trader isn't about learning more strategies. It's about building a stronger identity. You're not trying to find better signals, you're becoming the kind of person who can follow them. The charts are the same for everyone. What changes is who is reading them. That's why I've always believed a trader's true edge isn't in the market. It's in the mind. You can give two people the same strategy, the same risk management rules, the same tools. One will build wealth, the other will burn out. The difference isn't logic, it's emotional endurance. The ability to stay calm while everything around you tests your limb. And if you have reached a point where you can sit through drawdowns without panic, endure boredom without forcing trades, and accept uncertainty without frustration, then understand this. You're beginning to live what most only talk about. You're thinking like a professional. You're becoming someone who doesn't need the market to validate them, because you already trust your process. There's another powerful sign, often overlooked. You begin to simplify everything. In the early stages, traders collect indicators like trophies. They fill their charts with signals, moving averages, oscillators, believing more data means more control. But as you evolve, you start removing the excess. You realize the market isn't complicated. Your thinking was, you take fewer trades, you hold them longer, you wait for clearer confirmation, and that simplicity feels like freedom. That's the final evolution, from noise to clarity. You begin to understand that less is not only more, less is profitable. As your charts become cleaner, your thoughts follow. Your trading plan becomes sharper. Your rules become non-negotiable. And for the first time, you feel in control. Not because you control the market, but because you control yourself within it. That's the real victory. It's not about how much you make, it's about how little you now need to trade recklessly. You detach from the obsession with more trades, more screens, more signals, and start focusing on better setups, better risk, better mindset. That shift from quantity to quality is the mark of every seasoned professional. But there's a warning here. At this level, complacency becomes the next trap, because comfort can be dangerous. The moment you feel invincible, the market will remind you that you're not. That's why humility must always walk alongside mastery. I learned it the hard way. The same confidence that builds fortunes can destroy them if left unchecked. You must keep questioning, keep journaling, keep learning, even when you're winning. Especially when you're winning. The greatest traders don't fear losses, they fear arrogance, because arrogance blinds you faster than any drawdown ever will. So if you've been making progress, if your charts look cleaner, your decisions calmer, your results more consistent, remember to stay humble, keep your curiosity alive. The market is generous, but only to those who remain students forever. This is why I say success isn't a destination, it's maintenance. A constant balance between confidence and caution. And when you finally find that balance, that quiet harmony between boldness and restraint, you begin to experience something rare. Peace. Peace with your process. Peace with your journey. That's when you stop chasing the market and start flowing with it. And that flow, that effortless focus, is the signature of a profitable trader. There comes a point when consistency arrives. But it doesn't feel the way you imagined. It doesn't come with excitement or celebration. It arrives quietly. You wake up one day and realize you're no longer focused on making money. You're focused on protecting discipline. That's when you cross the invisible line. The line between trader and professional. But beyond that line, a new challenge appears. Sustainability. Because staying profitable is harder than becoming profitable. The same patience and humility that built your foundation must now protect it. At this stage, the greatest danger isn't loss, it's comfort. When results become consistent and confidence grows, an old voice begins to return, the voice of greed. It whispers, "You have mastered this. You can take more risk. You can bend the rules just this once." That voice is subtle, but it's dangerous. It's the same voice that has destroyed fortunes and ended careers. Because the moment you stop respecting the market will remind you who's in control. I've seen traders make millions and lose them just as quickly. Not because they forgot how to trade, but because they forgot why their method worked. They abandoned patience. They chased excitement again. And that's where the final test begins. When you can win and still remain humble. When you can grow and still stay grounded. When you can teach others without believing you've learned everything. That's when you become truly unstoppable. Because real profitability isn't measured by account size. It's measured by discipline. Your trading becomes a reflection of your mind. If your thoughts are chaotic, your results will be too. If your thoughts are calm, your results align. Each session becomes less about profit and more about presence, less about prediction and more about patience. That's when trading becomes something greater than money. It becomes a craft, a mirror, a way of living with awareness. You stop seeing charts as lines and numbers. You start seeing behavior, emotion, rhythm. You recognize panic, greed, fear, not just in the market, but in yourself. And with that awareness comes a unique kind of power. Not the power to control the market, but the power to control yourself within it. That's what separates the elite from the average. The average trader wants to predict outcomes. The elite trader prepares responses. That is mastery. You know you've reached it when you begin to value boredom. When quiet, uneventful days no longer frustrate you, but satisfy you, because you understand that consistency is built in those moments. That's when trading stops feeling like a test and starts feeling like balance. And gradually, your entire life begins to shift. You stop rushing decisions. You stop reacting emotionally. You stop seeking constant validation. You think more clearly, you feel lighter. Because the patience that made you a better trader makes you a calmer person. That's the hidden reward. Trading teaches you more about life than it does about markets. It teaches detachment, humility, patience, and respect for uncertainty. And once you learn those lessons, you begin to live with intention, both inside and outside the charts. It took me years to understand this. I chased strategies, signals, shortcuts. But in the end, the market only required one thing from me: self-mastery. The moment I stopped fighting the market and started understanding myself, everything changed. And if you're here now, listening, reflecting, learning, then you're already walking that path. You're evolving in ways most traders never will, because most never make it past the noise. But you're beginning to hear the rhythm behind it. So remember these signs, not as goals to chase, but as truths to recognize. When you trade for clarity instead of excitement, when losses no longer define you, when you trust your judgment and follow your system, when you think in probabilities, not emotions, when you find peace in patience instead of thrill, that's when you're becoming a profitable trader. Not someday. Now. Because profitability isn't just a number. It's a mindset. It's the ability to handle wins and losses with the same calm discipline. It's the awareness that your role is not to predict the market, but to participate in it with consistency. That's the lesson many learn the hard way, but you don't have to. If you listen, reflect, and apply, you can learn it the smart way. So before we close, ask yourself, what part of this journey are you in? What are you doing well? And what still needs work? Your answers matter because every trader's story has the power to help someone else move forward. And if this message made you pause, reflect, or see your trading differ, NTT, share it. Because the truth is simple. The greatest trade you will ever make is not in the market. It's within yourself. Master your mind, and the market becomes your mirror. And when that happens, profit is no longer something you chase. It becomes something you naturally attract. There comes a point in your trading journey where everything becomes quieter. Not because the market has changed, but because you have. You're no longer reacting to every movement. You're no longer chasing every opportunity. You're no longer chasing every opportunity. You're no longer trying to prove anything to anyone, not even yourself. And in that silence, something powerful begins to grow: clarity. You start to realize that the market was never your biggest challenge. It was your emotions, your impatience, your need to be right. And once those begin to fade, you step into a different level of trading, one that most people never reach, because most traders are addicted to noise. They need constant action. They need constant validation. They need to feel like they're doing something. But the truth is, The market rewards those who can do nothing when nothing needs to be done. That's the paradox. The less you force, the more you align. The less you chase, the more you attract. And over time, you begin to trust this process. Not because someone told you to, but because you've lived it. You've seen what happens when you break your rules. You've felt the cost of emotional decisions. You've experienced the damage of impatience. And now, you choose differently. Not perfectly, but intentionally. That's what separates a developing trader from a disciplined one. Perfection is not the goal. Consistency is not the goal. Consistency is. And consistency isn't built in your winning streaks. It's built in your ability to stay grounded during uncertainty, to follow your plan when it feels uncomfortable, to walk away when there's nothing to do, to accept that not every day is meant to pay you. Because the market doesn't pay daily. It pays those who survive long enough. And survival in trading is not about avoiding losses. It's about managing them, controlling them, respecting them. You begin to understand that a small loss is not a problem. A loss of discipline is. And once that clicks, everything changes. You stop fearing losses and start fearing bad decisions. That shift alone can transform your entire journey. Because now your focus is no longer on outcome, it's on process. And the process is where your power lives. You refine it, you protect it, you repeat it, day after day, trade after trade, without needing immediate results. And that's where most traders fail. They want proof too soon. They want results too fast. They abandon good systems because of short-term pain. But you're different now. You understand that real growth is slow. It's invisible. It doesn't show up in your account overnight. It shows up in your behavior, in your patience, in your discipline, in the moments where you could have taken a bad trade, but didn't. Those are the real wins. And the more you collect those small wins, the stronger your foundation becomes. Until one day, something shifts. You stop thinking like a trader and start operating like one, effortlessly, calmly, with precision. You don't need to overanalyze. You don't need to hesitate. You simply execute because your system is no longer just something you follow. It's something you trust. And more importantly, it's something you've become. That's when trading stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like a rhythm. You're no longer fighting the market. You're flowing with it, taking what it gives, ignoring what it doesn't, remaining neutral no matter what happens, win or lose. Because you finally understand something most people never do. Your job is not to control the outcome. Lie. Our job is to control your behavior. That's it. That's the entire game. And once you master that, the results take care of themselves. Not immediately, but inevitably. Because discipline compounds, just like profits do. Every good decision builds momentum. Every controlled reaction builds confidence. Every moment of patience strengthens your edge. Until eventually, you're no longer hoping to be profitable. You expect it, not from arrogance, but from preparation, from repetition, from self-mastery. And even then, you remain cautious, because you know the market never stops testing you. It waits, it observes, it looks for cracks in your discipline, moments of overconfidence, moments of carelessness. And the moment you slip, it reminds you. That's why the journey never truly ends. Because mastery is not a destination, it's a practice, a daily commitment to show up with focus, to act with discipline, to remain humble, no matter how far you've come. And if you can do that, if you can stay grounded while growing, if you can stay disciplined while winning, if you can stay patient while waiting, then you've already achieved something far greater than profits. You've achieved control over your actions, control over your emotions, control over your mindset. And that is the real edge, because strategies can be copied, indicators can be shared, but discipline must be built. And once you build it, no one can take it from you. So as you move forward from here, remember this: the market doesn't owe you anything. It doesn't reward effort. It doesn't care about your goals. It only responds to one thing: consistency. Consistency in your actions. Consistency in your mindset. Consistency in your mindset. Consistency in your discipline. That's what separates those who survive from those who disappear. And if you have made it this far, if you stayed committed through the losses, the doubt, the frustration, then you're already ahead of most. Now it's just about staying the course, refining your process, protecting your mindset, and continuing to grow quietly, steadily, intentionally, because in the end, trading is not about beating the market. It's about mastering yourself within it. And once you do that, you don't just become a profitable trader. You become someone who can handle success. And that is what truly makes it last.